Welcome to Natural English Talk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Natural English Talk. Today, we want to slow things down a little bit. We want to talk about something that happens inside our heads, usually when we least expect it.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, exactly. We are talking about overthinking, but not the big, serious kind of overthinking. We aren't talking about changing careers or moving to a new country.
Right. We are talking about the small things, the tiny, simple moments in a normal day that somehow become heavy. It's strange, isn't it? How a very small decision can suddenly feel like a big mountain to climb.
It happens to me all the time. Honestly, it starts really early. Sometimes it starts the moment I walk into the kitchen in the morning.
That quiet time before the workday begins?
Exactly. The house is quiet. I'm tired. I just want breakfast. It should be the easiest part of the day. I open the refrigerator door and I just stand there.
The famous refrigerator stare. You are looking at the food, but you aren't really seeing it.
I'm seeing it, but I can't move. I look at the eggs on the shelf, then I look at the yogurt, and suddenly a debate starts in my brain. A full conversation.
What does the voice say? Is it arguing about health?
Partly, one voice says, you should make eggs. Eggs are healthy. You need protein for the day. But then another voice answers immediately, but eggs take 10 minutes, and then you have to wash the pan. Do you really want to wash a pan right now?
That is such a real feeling. It's not just about the food, it's about the energy. You are calculating the cost of your energy before you have even had a cup of coffee.
Exactly. And while I'm having this debate, I'm just standing there letting the cold air out of the fridge. It's completely silent, but inside my head, it's loud. I think if I just have toast, I will be hungry in an hour. But if I make oatmeal, I have to wait for the water to boil.
It sounds exhausting, and the funny thing is, none of these choices are bad. Eggs are fine, toast is fine, oatmeal is fine. There is no wrong answer here.
Right. I want the perfect start to the day. I don't want to regret my breakfast choice.
That fear of regret is powerful, even for something tiny. We treat a bowl of cereal like it's a life-changing decision. We worry that if we choose the wrong thing, the whole morning will be off balance.
And the crazy part is how long it lasts. Sometimes I realize I have been standing there for 5 or 6 minutes. I haven't done anything. I haven't even poured a glass of water. I've just been thinking.
You are frozen by the options.
Yes, and by the time I actually pick something, usually just the toast because it's fastest, I feel tired. I feel like I just finished a difficult negotiation.
You spent your morning energy before you even took a bite of food. It's a heavy way to start the morning, feeling like you are already fighting with yourself.
It really is. And once you finally sit down to eat, you almost feel guilty for making such a big deal out of it. You just wanted to feed yourself, but your brain turned it into a project.
It doesn't usually stop in the kitchen, though, does it? That feeling often follows you into the next room.
Oh, absolutely. Once I've finally eaten the toast, I go to the bedroom to get dressed. And honestly, standing in front of the closet is even worse than the refrigerator.
It's the same situation, but now it feels more public, because what you choose to eat is private, but what you wear is what the world sees.
That's exactly it. It adds a layer of social pressure. I'll be standing there looking at 2 shirts, just 2 normal shirts. Let's say a gray one and a blue one. They're almost the same style. They're both clean. It should be a 2-second choice.
You just need to cover your body and stay warm. It's a basic human need.
Right, but my brain starts running simulations. I imagine myself walking into the office wearing the gray shirt, and a little voice asks, is this too boring? Will people think I didn't make an effort today?
You're already living in a future moment that hasn't happened yet. You're imagining people's reactions.
And the reactions are probably not even real. Nobody cares about my gray shirt. But then I look at the blue one, and the voice changes. It says, is this too bright? Is it too formal for a Tuesday? Will I look like I'm trying too hard?
That's the trap.
You're stuck between too much and not enough. You want to hit this perfect middle ground that probably doesn't exist.
It makes me physically restless. I'll actually put the gray shirt on. I'll button it up, I'll look in the mirror for 10 seconds, and then I'll get this uncomfortable feeling in my stomach, like it's just wrong. So I take it off and put the blue one on.
And does the blue one feel better?
For a moment, yes. But then I check the mirror again and I start wondering if it matches my shoes or if it looks weird with my jacket. It's a constant back and forth. I'm putting clothes on and taking them off, like a confused actor in a play.
Meanwhile, the clock is ticking. You need to leave the house.
That adds to the stress. Now I'm worried about being late, but I still feel paralyzed by the choice. I end up staring at the hangers, feeling genuinely frustrated. I think to myself, why is this hard? Why can't I just pick a shirt and leave?
It's because the decision isn't about the shirt anymore. It's about how you want to be perceived. You're trying to control how other people see you just by choosing a piece of fabric.
That's a lot of pressure for a Tuesday morning. And eventually, I just grab whatever's closest because I have to run for the bus. But I leave the house feeling unsettled. I walk out the door feeling like I made a compromise, not a choice.
And then you arrive at work. You sit down at your desk. You might think the overthinking stops because now you're busy, but often it just changes shape.
It definitely changes shape. For me, it happens with emails. And I don't mean the long, complicated reports. I mean the tiny ones. The emails that are just 2 or 3 sentences long.
The ones that should take 30 seconds to write?
Exactly. Let's say I just need to send a file to a colleague. I type, "Hi, here's a document you asked for. Best regards, Jake." I type it in 10 seconds, but then my hand freezes over the send button.
You stop. Why? What are you looking for?
I start rereading it. I read it once, then I read it again.
And suddenly the voice comes back. It says, "Does this sound too cold? Does it sound a bit rude?"
Because text doesn't have a voice. You can't smile in an email, so you start worrying that your neutral message sounds angry.
Yes. So I look at the sentence, "Here is a document," and I think, that sounds like a robot, or it sounds like I'm annoyed. So I delete the period and I add an exclamation point. "Here is the document."
But then you look at that and it feels like too much energy.
Right. Now I feel like I'm shouting with excitement about a PDF file. It feels fake, so I delete the exclamation point, and I sit there staring at the cursor blinking. I'm just oscillating between looking mean and looking crazy.
And meanwhile, the file is just sitting there, waiting to go.
It's such a small thing, but the friction is real. I start adding words just to soften it. I add, "Hope you're having a good morning," or "Let me know if you need anything else." The email grows from 1 line to 4 lines, just because I'm afraid of being misunderstood.
You are trying to manage the emotional tone of a digital message. It takes a lot of mental work to try and guess how the other person will feel when they read it.
And the funny thing is, I know how they will read it. They will probably open it on their phone, glance at it for 1 second, download the file, and delete the email. They won't analyze my punctuation.
They won't even notice if you used an exclamation point or not, but you spent 5 minutes worrying about it.
It's 5 minutes of tension. My shoulders are tight, I'm holding my breath a little bit, and when I finally click send, I don't feel satisfied. I feel a little spark of worry. Did I say the right thing? I sometimes even open my sent folder and read it again, just to check.
That is the peak of overthinking. Reading a message you have already sent that you can't change anymore. It's like you're trying to soothe that inner voice, but the voice just wants to keep analyzing. It's a strange kind of exhaustion, isn't it? Even when you leave the office for a break, the mind doesn't always stay behind at the desk.
That's so true. I went to a little cafe the other day just to get a coffee and a bit of fresh air. A very simple mission. But even as I was walking toward the door, I could feel the internal gears starting to turn again.
It's that transition from being alone with your thoughts to interacting with a real person.
Exactly. I started practicing my order in my head. "I'll have a medium latte, please." It's 5 words. I've said them 1,000 times. But for some reason, as I approached the counter, I started worrying about the details. Should I say, can I get, or I would like? Is a medium called a regular here?
You're standing in line, and instead of relaxing, you're rehearsing.
I am. And then I saw the person in front of me having a very long, complicated conversation with the barista about different types of milk. And suddenly, my brain went, oh no, what if they ask me a follow-up question? What if I have to choose between 3 different types of beans?
The fear of the unexpected. You want the interaction to be perfectly smooth so you don't look awkward.
That's it. There were only 2 people behind me, but I felt like I was on a stage. I felt this quiet pressure to be fast, to be clear, to be the perfect customer. I actually looked at the menu again, even though I knew exactly what I wanted, just because I was afraid I might forget the word for latte when it was my turn.
It's funny how we think people are judging us for a 3-second interaction. The barista probably sees hundreds of people. They aren't waiting for you to make a mistake.
I know that deep down, but when I finally stepped up to the counter, I felt my heart beat a little faster. The barista smiled and said, "Hi, what can I get you?" And for half a second, my mind actually went blank.
The classic overthinking freeze.
I ended up saying, "A coffee, please. Just a coffee," which of course led to the barista asking, "What kind of coffee?" And then I felt even more foolish because I had to start the whole process again.
So the effort you spent trying to avoid an awkward moment actually created one.
Every single time. I walked away with my drink, but instead of enjoying the smell of the coffee, I was replaying that half second of silence. I was thinking, why did I freeze? Why couldn't I just say latte? It turns a 5-minute break into a small mental workout.
It's interesting how these interactions with strangers can stay with us. But sometimes it's even more complicated when the interaction is with someone we actually know, like a friend.
That is so true. It happened to me later that same afternoon. I was sitting on the bus and I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. It was just a casual text from a friend I haven't seen in a few weeks.
Hey, how you doing kind of message.
Exactly. It said, "Hey, how's it going? We should grab a drink soon." A very nice, very normal message. But instead of just typing, "Hey, sounds great, let's do it," I just stared at the screen.
And let me guess, the debate started again.
Instantly. First, I thought about the timing. I thought, if I reply right now, within 30 seconds, do I look like I'm just waiting for them to text me? Do I look too available?
So you're playing a game with the clock. You're worrying about the etiquette of a casual friendship.
I really am. So I decided to wait. I told myself I'd reply in an hour. But then, an hour later, I started worrying about the tone. I wanted to sound enthusiastic, but not too enthusiastic. I wrote a reply, then I deleted it. Then I wrote another one.
What was the worry this time?
I was looking at the emojis. I had a smiley face at the end. Then I thought, is a smiley face too much? We haven't spoken in a month. Maybe I should just use a thumbs up. But then I thought a thumbs up looked too dry, almost like I was being short with them.
It's like the email situation all over again, but with higher stakes because you actually care about this person's opinion of you.
Yes. I ended up putting the phone back in my pocket without replying at all. And then for the next 2 hours, that message felt like a small emotional knot in the back of my mind. I kept thinking, I still haven't replied. Now it's been 3 hours. Is it weirder to reply now, or should I wait until tomorrow morning so it looks like I was just busy?
You turned a friendly gesture into a chore. Your friend was just reaching out because they like you, but you treated it like a puzzle you had to solve perfectly.
It's a strange way to live, isn't it? Something that was meant to be a connection became a source of mild anxiety. By the time I finally sent a simple, "Hey, yeah, let's do it," I didn't feel connected. I just felt relieved that the task was over.
It's like we carry these little knots of tension with us throughout the day, and then we end up in a place that's full of even more choices, the grocery store.
Oh, the grocery store is the ultimate test. I went there on my way home to get some basic supplies. I was in the pasta aisle. I just needed 1 box of spaghetti.
But there is never just one box, is there? There's an entire wall of different brands and types.
Exactly. I found myself standing there holding 2 different boxes of spaghetti. One was a store brand, very cheap. The other was a premium brand in a fancy paper bag. It was only about $1 more expensive.
And let me guess, the internal list of pros and cons began.
It was ridiculous. I started looking at the ingredients. They were exactly the same: durum wheat and water. But then I looked at the texture of the pasta through the little plastic window. I thought, the expensive one looks a bit rougher. Maybe the sauce will stick to it better.
You're standing in the aisle analyzing the microscopic texture of wheat.
I am. And then I started thinking about my budget. I thought, if I save $1 today on pasta, and I do that every week, that's $50 a year. But then the other voice said, it's just $1, Jake. You worked hard today. Don't you deserve a nice dinner?
It's fascinating how we turn a simple grocery item into a symbol of our self-worth or our financial future.
That's the feeling. I felt this mild stress rising. I was looking at the labels, checking the best before dates, even though I was going to eat it that night. I felt like if I picked the wrong spaghetti, I was failing at being a smart shopper.
And meanwhile, other people are probably pushing their carts past you, just grabbing things without thinking.
I noticed the woman just reach out, grab 3 boxes of the cheap stuff, and walk away in 2 seconds. I watched her and felt a weird kind of jealousy. I thought, how does she do that? How is she so sure of herself?
She probably isn't sure, she just knows that in the end, it's just pasta.
I wish I could feel that. I stood there for so long that I started to feel like the store employees were watching me. I finally just grabbed the expensive one, but then as I walked toward the checkout, I felt guilty for being wasteful. It's such a small amount of money, but the mental energy I spent was huge.
It's exhausting to spend that much energy in a grocery store. And the worst part is, after a long day of these small battles, you finally get home. You get into bed, you think it's time to rest.
But then the lights go out and the theater in my mind opens for the late night show.
That's when the silence of the room makes the internal voice sound even louder.
Exactly. I'm lying there staring at the ceiling, and suddenly my brain decides to replay a moment from 3 in the afternoon, usually something completely harmless, like a tiny comment I made to a colleague in the hallway.
Something you didn't even think about at the time.
Not at all. At 3 o'clock, it was just a, hey, good job on the presentation. But at midnight, lying in bed, I start to question the tone of my voice. I think, did I sound sincere, or did it sound like I was being sarcastic? Did they see me roll my eyes? I don't think I rolled my eyes, but maybe I blinked in a weird way.
You're reviewing the security footage of your own life, looking for mistakes that aren't there.
It's so restless. I'll actually roll over and try to think about something else, but the thought just pulls me back. I start thinking about the look on their face. They didn't really smile back. They just nodded. Does that mean they're mad at me? Did I offend them?
And the more you think about it, the more evidence you find. You start connecting dots that don't exist.
I do. I'll spend 20 minutes analyzing a 5-second interaction, and I know, logically, that they probably have forgotten it completely. They're probably in their own bed overthinking something else.
It's almost a form of self-torture. You're taking a quiet, peaceful moment, the time when you should be recharging, and filling it with friction.
It creates this physical feeling of being awake even when you're exhausted. My mind is running a marathon while my body is trying to sleep. I feel like I can't let the moment go until I solve it, but there is nothing to solve. It's just a memory.
It's that inability to just let a moment be in the past. We want to fix things that aren't broken just because we're afraid of a tiny bit of social awkwardness or a small misunderstanding.
And when I finally do fall asleep, it's not a deep sleep. It's that light, busy sleep where you feel like you're still working. It's a very heavy way to end a day that was actually quite simple.
And then the sun comes up. You wake up the next morning, and that heavy feeling from the night before has usually faded away, hasn't it?
It has. The things that felt like huge problems at midnight suddenly look very small in the daylight. I look back at my worry about the colleague or the email and almost want to laugh. It seems so unnecessary.
But then you realize how much energy you actually lost. You look back at the whole previous day, the refrigerator, the closet, the pasta aisle, and you see a pattern.
I see a lot of wasted time. I sit there with my coffee, having finally chosen the toast again, and I realize that I spent hours of my life fighting with myself over things that truly do not matter.
It's a quiet realization. You start doubting whether all that thinking is actually helping you. We tell ourselves we're being careful or thoughtful, but really we're just making life heavier than it needs to be.
That's the word. Heavy. life is already full of real challenges. We have jobs, we have health, we have big goals. We don't need to add weight to the simple things. When I think about all that mental energy, I feel a bit sad. I could have used that energy to be creative, or to really listen to a friend, or just to enjoy the silence.
We treat our brain like it has an infinite battery, but it doesn't. Every time we have a 5-minute debate about a shirt, we're draining that battery.
I'm starting to notice it more now. I'm trying to catch myself. This morning, when I opened the fridge, I felt that familiar freeze starting. But I just grabbed the yogurt. I didn't let the debate start. I just did it.
That's a small victory. It's about noticing the friction and deciding not to participate. It's okay to just make a choice, even if it's not the perfect one, because the perfect choice doesn't exist.
Exactly. A good enough breakfast is better than a perfect breakfast that makes you tired. I want to save my thinking for the things that deserve it. I want the simple parts of my life to stay simple.
It's a practice, isn't it? Learning to trust yourself in the small moments, trusting that you can handle a gray shirt or a simple email without a plan.
It is. It's about being a little kinder to ourselves, letting the small things be small. I think I'm going to try to carry that feeling into the rest of my day.
That sounds like a very good plan, Jake. And to everyone listening, we hope you can find a way to let your small decisions be easy today. Thank you for joining us on Natural English Talk.
Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.